Okay, folks, we're going to get rolling now. Once again, I'm Don Miller. I am the Assistant Director for the Veterans Business Outreach Center located here in the Hampton Roads area, and our responsibility is all of Virginia and West Virginia. We're a program under the Small Business Administration, and we teach the Boots to Business class at all the bases here in Virginia, as well as we do some other training over in West Virginia. Uh, our particular VBOC, we're located in downtown Norfolk, and there are three of us currently. We're hoping to add a fourth one here shortly. Uh, Sherilyn Sagister, who is our director, Troy Boner, who is kind of my right arm. He makes sure that all these classes happen on time. He arranges all the different uh, types of training and also events that we do, in addition to helping you folks out when you're needing other paperwork or things to help you get your business going. We're all veterans. Troy is is a Air Force veteran. I'm retired Navy, and Sherilyn Sagister spent 7 years in the Army and the Navy. Uh, Sherilyn and myself have been business owners. We've been through the ringer. For those of you that have not attended one of our classes before, uh, we bring the experience of going through starting a business, and it's all well and good to get that education out there, but actually dealing with folks like Sherilyn and myself and different organizations, our resource partners, such as the Women's Business Center, SCORE, and the SBA. These are all people that can help you through this. Everything that the Veterans Business Outreach Center does for you is free. Okay? Our classes are free, our mentoring is free, reviewing your business plan. And our key today is to bring together some of those pieces for the business plan that you're going to have. You're going to have Tom and Brian following me that work for a local marketing firm, and they have their fingers on the pulse of the marketing world. They work with people, helping them with their market analysis, as we do also. Then we've got Ray Feliciano, and he is from Sona Bank. And Ray is a vice president with Sona Bank. He is also an Army Reserve captain, and he's going to go through some great information on your personal finances as well as the different loan programs. And then we finish up with John Chattleton. John Chattleton is a retired banker, and John's been working with us and helping us and our clients for the past 8.5 years. Uh, John understands what it takes to borrow money and prepare yourself for that from a bank or a credit union or even investors. And I know the economics of the business, as I've talked about in Boots to Business, can be very boring, but John doesn't make it boring. He makes you really understand what it takes to get there. And John will also work with you individually for free on the economics of your business. As I mentioned, there are 22 VBOCs across the country. We hope to expand next year to 34, serving every state, plus Guam and Puerto Rico. And so we have a great time doing this. We love doing it. And the reason we call this business plan boot camp is because the business plan is such a key part. You've got to have a roadmap to where you need to get to. Okay. And this is something that it's not just for getting money, but the business plan helps you plan out every day, every month, every year where you're getting to. And a lot of people say, well, there are people out there that never used a business plan and they're successful. Well, that's true. You can take Elon Musk, who never did, but he has a strategic plan, a 5-year plan, uh, because you have to plan where you're going. What's next? I stress that. What's next? You get that first sale. What's next? You get that first contract with the government. What's next? Where's the next contract coming from? If you sit still and you're not continually looking forward at what you're going to do next, you can really struggle. Okay, so we're going to real quick. We're going to go over the different areas of the business plan, and and then we'll get into the marketing portion with Tom and Brian. And you're going to get a lot of great information. Uh, just for other information, we have other training classes we do. We've got them archived up here. Some of you may have seen that when you logged in. We've got the accounting portion, and which is an overview of QuickBooks with an accountant. She's also a veteran, and in addition to being an accountant and a QuickBooks expert, even if you're not going to use QuickBooks, it shows you all the different things you're going to need to manage the accounting on your business. And you've got to be prepared for that. You don't want the IRS showing up at your door. Having an accountant part-time looking over your shoulder is going to be critical for you being successful and staying out of trouble. They'll let you know everything you're going to need for your business. A small business accountant. Okay? Okay, we're going to talk about the different areas of the business plan today, the things that you need to make sure that you've got in place, the things that you need to do to prepare. You should do this before you start your business because it's going to show you critical areas such as, okay, where's that first customer coming from? What is the customer base like? What type of product or services, and possibly down the road you may be adding things to this. But the operational plan, how I get up and going, where do I find that first customer? That's what's going to be a big part of your business plan. Okay, this is the last section you do because I'll tell you, if you do the executive summary first, you're going to end up going back and changing it after you write the rest of your business plan because you're going to realize things as you put that together. And having a solid understanding of what you're putting out there is going to be critical for your success. I review business plans every weekend, folks. I currently have four that I'm going to be reviewing this weekend. And you don't hire somebody to do your business plan for you. You don't ever hire anybody to do it. You do that yourself. And if you can't write very well, I don't care. You send it to me and I'll smooth it up for you. I'll make it sound better. I'll help you through that process. If you're confused about an area, then you can send me an email and I'll tell you, okay, this is what you ought to be looking at. Uh, and and it's an ongoing process. You're continually looking at different things that you're going to want to add in or maybe take out of your business plan. Maybe a product or service is not something that people are buying. Maybe it and and that's where the evaluation comes in prior to. You need to evaluate each area because if you're spending money for equipment or on a product that nobody's going to want, then you've just wasted a lot of money. So doing the business plan can help you do that evaluation on whether or not you're going to be able to have a successful business. You know, this particular VBOC, we've helped over 400 brand new businesses start up and over 1,000 others that we have helped that are already started and now they need help or they want to get to that next level. Or maybe they're going to cross over from doing strictly commercial or they want to get into government contracting. And we can help you through those processes. And as I mention over and over again, we don't charge you a dime, and we've got the experience in the background to be able to help you through that. Okay, company description. This is where you're going to put down everything about your business. What are you doing? You know, are you a microbrewery? Are you a cleaning business? Are you a food truck? And then putting down exactly how you're going to what your mission is. Okay, your goals and objectives. You know, I talk about this in the Boots to Business class. What are your goals? What's your exit plan? Are you doing this that it's going to be a business you're going to pass on to family members, your children? Are you going to do this for 5 years and sell it? Are you trying to get so much money in the bank for your retirement and then you're going to do it? Okay. So this is where you really put down everything about your business. Now, in the case of, okay, I've got a gentleman that's starting a winery. And so it's going to be a wine bistro. One of the first questions that comes up is, have you contacted the ABC? Here in Virginia, we've got state-owned liquor and wine and beer. Okay, they control all of it, and you have to go through that process of getting certified by the ABC to be able to do your business. These are things that you're going to build into it. You may make a mention of it in your company description, but it's going to be an addendum that you're going to put at the end. One particular individual that I helped, David Rivas, started Three Brothers Whiskey about 7.5 years ago. David wanted to do a whiskey distillery, and he went through the process with the ABC. He had to find a piece of property. He had to talk about the different grains he was going to be growing for the whiskey, and Dave ended up with a business plan with the whole package, with all the addendums, all the things from the ABC. There was 176 pages. Well, guess what, folks? Most people's business plan, actually, the actual business plan was less than 20. But he had all those other things that he had to put in the back, showing that the ABC had approved him and that he had the property, that he had the zoning taken care of. These are all things you need to consider, especially if you're doing brick and mortar. Okay. What's your business philosophy? Who's your market? Who is going? It's not everybody, right? Who's your market? In the case of if you've got a uh, a whiskey distillery like David, he worked with the ABC stores. He's actually got some of his products out there now, but it took a long time because you've got to age it, and so don't give up your day job before you get your business up and going. You've got to have money coming in. You don't want to hurt your credit, and you need to have money in the bank. And that's one thing that Ray Feliciano will talk about later today. So figuring out who your market is, who is going to be your market, and is your industry growing or declining? Hopefully it's a growing market, and hopefully you aren't going into a market that's flooded. If there's a whole lot of people out there already doing what you're doing in the area you want to do it, how are you going to break into that market? What percentage do you feel you're going to be able to get of that market? And what are your company's strengths? This is really critical. You have to have that subject matter expert, that person that's going to be able to manage your business, unless you've got an incredible amount of knowledge in it. Who's going to be running the business? In a lot of cases, when it comes to people that want to borrow money or find investors, if you're going to borrow money, you better have somebody that understands your business all the way through. Maybe it's something that your family's been doing for years, such as trucking. I had a young man that was moving back to Georgia. He was starting a trucking company. His family had been in trucking for years, so he had been a part of it. He understood it, and so he wasn't going to be borrowing a lot of money. He had already found himself a used truck and was going to be able to get started, but he needed that solid business plan. Who were the people he was going after? So figuring out what the company's strengths are, and of course the legal entities. What type of legal entity are you going to be? And we talk about this a lot in Boots to Business, but in this class, hopefully you've already figured that out. You've talked to an attorney, a small business lawyer, right? Not just a lawyer, but a small business lawyer that understands what small businesses need to do to protect themselves. And we have various ones that we have vetted, have been very helpful to a lot of our clients. And of course, lawyers are going to cost you money. But that first time you meet with an attorney, you should not be charged. If you're just meeting with them, you want to find that good attorney, you want to find somebody you're comfortable with, you're interviewing them. And so you go through that process and you find the one, and we can give you the names of folks that have treated our clients right. And that is critical. You got to find that good one. And that goes for accountants looking over your shoulder. I'm not going to go into that real deep, but just suffice it to say that you need to have a small business accountant looking at your books at least once a quarter. So they are making sure that you're paying your taxes, the right taxes on time. And if you need contracts, that attorney is going to be able to help you with those things. Okay, thorough description of your product or service. Are you going to have one product, multiple products? Maybe you're doing a combination of products and service. You've got a product that needs to be installed, and having all those different things that you're going to need to be successful. How are you going to advertise that? If you've got a website, and hopefully most of you will or do have a website already, that first page has got to be very descriptive of exactly what you're doing. And if you're building a product, maybe you need those technical specifications. Or if you're doing brick and mortar and you're going to have to do a build out, you need to have architectural drawings, exactly how things are going to be laid out in there. Okay, that's something that you're going to have to find somebody to do that, and you're going to have to pay for it. That needs to be a part of this also. And the drawings, possible photos if you're doing like real estate, or you want to show pictures of the building you're going to go in and build out. And so you have that. So when you go to that bank, they see that you've really done your background work. Okay. What are your competitive advantages or disadvantages? What do you bring to the table? Do you have an individual on board? A lot of things that we're going through now involve cyber, and cyber has become huge. People are searching for those really top-notch cyber people out there to be able to uh, help them protect their businesses, or in the case of the federal government, they're looking for companies that have that expertise that can really protect things like our electrical grid here in the country. And then finally, pricing and fees. When John starts talking about later on today about the economics of your business, this is where you're going to fill in that piece. You're going to have to figure out everything that you're spending for that product or that service. It's going to that location if you're doing a service, such as house cleaning. The going to buy those products that are biodegradable, that are uh, animal and children safe, that you're going to be utilizing for that cleaning business. And then traveling to the place where you're going to be doing the work. You have to price these things out and put everything in, and then figure out what type of fee do I put on top? How am I going to be competitive? And how am I going to be different from my competition so people are actually going to want to come to me? Because if they've been using someone for the last 20 years, what are you going to offer that's going to convince them to come to you? How are you going to do that? Okay, your market analysis and marketing plan. You'll get a lot of great information from the next two gentlemen that are going to be up, and they'll talk about the different tools. Now, we have some high price tools that we utilize to help you with your market analysis. And you need to determine who your competition is. That's why it's so important when Tom and Brian talking about, is the market flooded? Are there too many people out there? How do you break into that market? Who is your competition? What are they doing service wise? And what is their pricing? How are you going to be competitive? Who are those people and how are you going to be better? And what people are doing similar products and or services. What are the demographics for the area? Can they afford what you're offering? Can they afford the product? Can they afford the service? You know, if you're doing landscaping, what are you going to be charging for that? How are you determining that pricing to be competitive? And what's your strategy for breaking into that? What type of marketing tools are you going to use? So there's a lot of great information you're going to get today, folks, that's going to go into that. And then your budget. How much money do you have? You know, if you're starting a business and you're doing it on savings, or maybe um, you're going to be borrowing some money, but you're going to be using some of your own money for that 20 to 25% that you're going to have for a bank to even consider utilizing or giving you money to start your business. You better have some reserves. We talk about this. We talk about 6 to 12 months worth of operating capital in the bank. You've got to have that. Don't take every dime that you've got and pour it into the business, and then you don't have anything to operate the business, because it's going to take a little time to get into the black to where you're actually making money and being able to pay the bills and pay yourself. And then, of course, the sales forecast. Your operational plan. Okay. If you're building products or you're buying products and reselling them, how long is it going to take you to get all that in place? What's your location going to be? Are you going to be working out of your home? You're going to be having to get brick and mortar? And if you're getting brick and mortar, are you going to be able to get that particular building zoned for doing the type of business you're doing? You know, we talk about it, different folks doing different things, whether it's um, such as a friend of mine who makes cakes for restaurants. Okay. She could get that her home zoned for making cakes. You know, she had to go along with all the food handler permits and such, but she couldn't actually have people coming to her house to pick up those cakes because of zoning issues. So she had to actually deliver the cakes to the restaurants. You need to be thinking about that with whatever business you're doing. Is there going to be a problem with what you're doing if you're doing it from your home with zoning? Is this something that your neighbors may not be happy about you doing? And once they notify somebody, hey, at that point, when the city shows up and says, you know what, you can't do that from your home. Well, you've just spent a lot of time and money putting that business together. You need to find out that those are things that you've got to have looked at and taken care of and investigated before you start your business. The legal issues that come up, once again, that can be a part of it. Personnel. Are you going to be hiring people? How many people are you going to hire? What are they going to be doing? What's their position? One of the things that we can send to you uh, is 3 pages of do's and don'ts for interviewing people. The questions you can and cannot ask when doing an interview. You've got to be very careful about that because it can open you up to lawsuits if you ask the wrong questions. You can't ask a person if they've got health issues. You can ask them if they can lift a 40-pound box. You can ask them because maybe you're going to have somebody out there uh, going around and marketing and trying to sell your products or your services. Can they be on their feet for 3 hours at a time? Are they going to be, maybe they're going to be teaching? Are they going to uh, be able to do that? Be able to stand up for 3 hours? You can ask them those questions, but there's a lot you can't. You can't ask them if they've got children, if they're married. You can't ask them if they've got health issues. So we can provide you for free, obviously, those 3 pages of do's and don'ts as far as interviewing people. Inventory. How much inventory are you going to have to start the business? What is a safe amount? What is a what if you see an opportunity to buy a product that you're looking at selling or something you're going to need? Is it wise to go ahead when you can get it at a bargain to buy a lot, or is this something you're not sure is going to be able to be long term for your company? Maybe this is something that maybe people don't want. I mentioned earlier about having safe products if you're doing a cleaning business, safe for the children, safe for pets or animals. Can you buy a product that's going to be safe in mass quantity, and are you sure you're going to be able to use it? Or is this something that may sit on the shelf and expire before you ever get to it? So you need to be looking at all of those. What's your credit policy going to be? Are you going to offer credit? Can people buy your product or your service on time? Are you going to want to be paid beforehand, before you actually deliver, or before whether it's a product or service? And then managing your accounts payable, receivable. Once again, back to the accounting portion. You've got to have that information in there. You've got to understand it before you start your business. And if you're going to be doing credit, are you talking to a bank about it? Are you going to accept credit cards? Are you going to accept time payments? All of these things are going to be part of your operational plan, which is going to protect you. That's why, once again, a business plan is not just something you do one time and throw it in the corner. It's not just for getting money, it's for running your business day to day. And you need to be looking at that business plan on a regular basis, even once you get your business started. Okay. Okay. Management and organization. Management of the business. Who's going to be running it? Are you going to be the main person? Well, you're probably going to be the CEO, especially if you're claiming to be a veteran owned, a minority owned, a woman owned, a disadvantaged business. Whoever is whoever is the CEO has to has to be managing the business. They have to be, and if you're claiming to be a woman owned or a whatever type of small business entity you're going to be, that person has to be the 51% or above owner. Has to be the 51% or above. So if you are going to claim to be a woman-owned small business or a disadvantaged woman-owned small business, you need to be the 51% owner and actually running the business. Don't do like some of these big companies do and put somebody in charge just so you can get that advantage of being a minority owned or a woman owned or a service disabled veteran owned. They've got to be running the business if they are the CEO and you are claiming to be any of those types of entities. Who's going to be on your board of directors if you have one? You have to have, if you are a nonprofit, you have to have a board of directors. You have to have a group of advisors, and they have to have regular meetings. Who's going to be your attorney? And once again, we can give you those folks. We talk about it a lot. The bail team, your banker, your accountant, your insurance, and your lawyer. In this case, it says attorney, but same thing, right? You've got to. These are not full-time people for you, but you got to have them in your back pocket. The banker will be full-time, obviously, and you need to find that bank or that credit union that's going to be able to work with you, not just in starting your business, getting that, opening up a business account, but are they going to be able to help you if you're going to need a line of credit? Are they going to be able to help you if you're going to need a loan down the line? Because maybe you're anticipating growing, maybe you're anticipating a contract that you may win, and you may need some additional funding when you win that contract to be able to get going and hire the people you're going to need to run it. Who are your consultants going to be? That's a key part also, right? Who are the people that are going to help you that have the background, have the experience? You need to find those people. Once again, Sherilyn and myself, we are experienced business owners. We've been through it. We've got scars from doing our own business. We've been knocked down. We've been kicked. And so having people that have been through it, have actually been through it, not somebody that has taught you and doesn't have any experience in starting a business. You've got to find those people that have been through it. And that's one thing Sherilyn and I bring to the table, and SCORE brings to the table, the Women's Business Center brings to the table. You need to find those people that can help you and can be there as a consultant. Once again, with us, we don't cost you a dime. SCORE is not going to cost you anything. You need to find the people that are going to be able to help you with your business. So your mentors and your key advisors are going to be important. Okay, personal financial statement. Now, this is something you ought to do for yourself, even if you're not borrowing money. Obviously, this is something that you're going to have if you're going to be finding investors or you're going to be borrowing money from a bank. A list of your assets, liabilities. These are things you need to understand, and Ray Feliciano will get more into that when we get into the financial portion today. And what's your personal net worth? A lot of you probably never even thought of that. What is your personal net worth? This is information, even if you're not borrowing money, you ought to have a breakout of what that is. And what's the percentage of ownership? If you are having a partner, whether it's a spouse, a family member, your best friend for years and years, who's going to be the decision maker? Getting back to the lawyer portion of this, what is your percentage of ownership in this business? If you are the CEO and you are claiming, like I said, that you have a minority status, a veteran status, a hub zone status, whoever's the CEO has to be the majority owner. You've got to be at least 51%. Startup expenses and capitalization. What are your initial costs? One of the things that Troy will send you, if those of you that have not received this from him previously, is a monthly cash flow spreadsheet. This is where you can start putting in all the information for what's it going to cost me to start my business. Do I need, if in the case of myself, where we had a custom software development company and doing government contracting, what were my initial costs? What did I have to have? I had to have computers. I had to have software. I had to have printers. I had to have marketing information to be able to put out. What was that going to cost? And you need to do that with your own. What are your initial costs? And this is an Excel spreadsheet that is excellent for putting all that in. If you're doing brick and mortar, what are my utilities going to cost me monthly? What are the things? What am I going to have up front to be able to start my business? Are you doing personal funding? What financial institution am I going to utilize that's going to be able to work with me and help me and understand? You want to be talking to different financial institutions to find out who's going to be able to help you, not just today at the startup, but are they going to be able to help me a year from now when I'm going to need that line of credit, or I'm going to see growth where possibly I'm going to need to have a loan, or maybe I'm going to be looking at, okay, we're going to take off. I'm going to need investors because this can be a significant amount of money we're going to need. Okay, contingency funding, that money in the bank, like I talked about, that is going to be there to sustain that business for the first 6 to 12 to 15 months, to be able to pay your bills. What happens if a hurricane hits and you're shut down for a couple of weeks? Am I going to have money to sustain the business? Now, talking about COVID, which obviously threw a bigger wrinkle into it, what programs are out there to be able to support me if I'm going to have issues with payroll, the different things that are out there? Now, I'll be honest with you, payroll protection program was great. A lot of my clients had to use that, and it worked for them great. The idle program, which the SBA sponsored, has really struggled. It's still struggling in getting money to people that needed it for that brick and mortar, for that equipment that they had to pay for. And what other funding sources are out there? Looking at that, what type of programs are out there? If you're a veteran, there's a organization called Street Shares. It was three veterans that realized small business was struggling trying to get that money quick for that little bit of cash insert they need, from 25 to $100,000 that they need for that, and they need it today. They need that growth, and these folks, they're all veterans, and if you're a veteran, uh, they're there to help you. They have built up a group of investors that can get that money to you oftentimes within 72 hours. That cash insert, and they want you to be up and and show that you've been successful. This isn't something for startup. This is something you've been in business a year to 2 years or more, and all of a sudden you see that, wow, I'm this market's going to take off, and I'm going to need an additional $50,000, and I need to get it quickly. Street Shares is an organization. We can give you more information about them later. And if you've got investors, how much control are you willing to give up if you're bringing in investors for your business? These are all things you need to consider. How much control? Because if somebody comes in and invests in your company, buy stock in your company, they're going to want to have some input. How much input are you willing to let them have? How much control? I'm sure a lot of you have seen uh, the different shows out there. I myself prefer The Profit. Really great. He comes in and he evaluates a business and he says, I'll invest. This is how much control I'm going to have. You need to understand that. But having investors normally means also that maybe they're bringing in expertise. They understand your business. They understand your business. And so the expertise they're bringing can be very beneficial to you being successful. So yeah, there's pros and cons on having investors, but you need to look at that and evaluate it if you're looking at bringing in investors for your business. Your financial plan. Once again, this monthly cash flow spreadsheet that Troy is going to be sending you helps you put in all those costs for startup, and then your 12-month profit loss projections, sales projections. That can be the hardest part, and we'll work with you on that. John Chattleton will work with you on that, figuring out, okay, how am I going to break this out? How can I anticipate exactly how much I'm going to be selling of my product or service? And then once again, the breakout of cost of goods and services. You need to be looking at, if you're attending classes that you're paying for or you're traveling to, you need to be documenting every bit of that. That's part of your business. Those are part of expenses that you're going to be going through. And what are your detailed expenses and realistic description of projections? Your daily expenses, you've got to be tracking that. And I know that seems like a pain, but once again, as I've talked about in other classes, when you start your business, it becomes a 24/7, 365 initially until you get everything cooking along, but you never rest on your laurels. It's always got to be what's next. So what your cash flow is going to be looking like, and what you're anticipating for moving forward. And what's your opening day balance sheet going to look like? What am I going to have on the day I open the business? How much money have I put out to get that business up and going? And how much money do I have sitting there to be able to manage that business and run that business for a period of time before we start making a profit. But then after we start making a profit, and then your break even analysis, understanding the difference between fixed and variable costs. And for any of you that have not been through um, what fixed and variable costs are, you can meet with me one on one. We can talk about the difference between fixed and variable costs for your business. You know, if you got brick and mortar, obviously that's a fixed cost. That's something you got to pay every month. If you've got salaried employees, that's a fixed cost. So it's understanding all of those different things to be able to put that in your business plan and show that you're going to be able to be successful. I've had people that have written their business plan and come back to me and say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to make money on this. So this would be crazy. Okay. Well, let's take that and figure out how you can make money from what you really got that passion for what you want to do. Now, I'm sure some of you are already open for business, already in business, and maybe need that help getting organized or getting to that next level. And you may understand some of these things, but maybe you don't. And maybe understanding these things can help you get to that successful level. Okay, your appendices. These are all the other things. When I mentioned David Brevis and having over 100 extra pages back in his appendices of brochures and advertising, industry studies, blueprints, maps, and photos. He had to have that for that farm that he was going to be growing all of his grains on for doing his whiskey and his vodka and then his rum, all these different things, and being able to claim that it was Virginia made, that every grain he had to be grown here in the state of Virginia. Every product that went into that whiskey. So having all that information and then the maps and photos. David had some issues because he was using a farm from a friend of his, which David eventually bought. But there were some neighbors that weren't happy that David had people coming out to his whiskey distillery to help him with the build out, which I was one of them that did. I went out there and helped him when he put up his small building for doing his distilling equipment, and then he had a taste room. And so there were some of the neighbors that initially were not very receptive to it, but David went and talked to them and welcomed them over to it. And then everything was fine. He was able to get the licensing and zoning permits he needed. And looking at the market research studies, what are people buying? What are they not buying? What's the new thing? Is it trending? And then having the assets available as collateral for a loan. And of course, Ray Feliciano will talk about that more. But folks, one of the things that I stress is if you are getting a loan for your business and you've got a significant other in your life, they better be aware of it. Because if something happens and all of a sudden somebody shows up and with a foreclosure notice, that could be a very unhappy significant other in your life. And they need to be on board with you starting a business. And I stress that. That is really key because I've had people that come in and I say, well, uh, is your spouse on board? No. Well, my goodness. Why are you going to destroy it? Because of what it takes to get a business up and be successful. It can take a whole lot of time. Vacations can get delayed. Uh, you're going to, if you have children, there could be a problem with you spending enough time with them. Are you prepared for that? How are you going to deal with these different things? So having your significant other on board with what you're doing and understanding that this is going to take a whole lot of time can be significant and really be something you have to consider when you're getting ready to start your business. Okay, VWIC. Okay, for those of you, maybe you need to attend a class. Maybe you're just getting ready to start up. Okay, you're just getting ready to start up and you're going to go get a business license, maybe you're going to go to the state and become an LLC, we can help with that. This program, VWIC, can help pay for those things. And like I said, that can even include attending the class up to a certain amount of money. They will pay for it. And it's a process you have to go through where you fill out some forms. And we have a person in the office. She's attached to the Women's Business Center. And she will help you through that. And you can get that information from me. And we can help you with that. And so it may defer just, it may take care of a small cost that you've got, but hey, that can be an important thing. Maybe that $50 for a business license or $40 for a business license and $100 for an LLC. Well, I know it's not a lot, but it's something, right? And so let us know if there's something we can help you with on this. And once again, it could be a certification for a class that you've got for the business you're going into. So contact me. That is my email address. And you can use that for the VWIC or any other questions you have in helping you moving forward, whether it be the coaching, the mentoring, the business plan, teaming agreements, non-disclosure agreements. I have, as I mentioned earlier, I've got the 3 pages of do's and don'ts as far as interviewing people, but I've also got a outline for doing a business or for doing a non-disclosure agreement. Maybe you've got a product or service you don't want to anybody to get that idea from you and go out and do it themselves. You can have them sign a non-disclosure agreement. And maybe you're looking at getting into teaming. You're going after some work, maybe as a government contractor or possibly just as another business where somebody does painting, car painting, and you do the mechanical portion, and you want a teaming agreement to protect you and protect them. I have those forms that I can give you for free and help you out with that. But it's always good when you're getting a contract with another business to make sure that you've got an attorney involved to make sure you do not get in trouble. Okay. We've got Brian Forrester is on, and Brian is in marketing and does a fantastic job in providing you folks some great information.
We've got Brian here with us to kind of lead the charge and do this one a little solo style instead. So, Brian, thanks again for being with us. As always, we really appreciate you guys volunteering your time. I think Don said at the beginning, folks, everything we do here is for free. You know, we're a nonprofit. We don't charge for anything at all if we can help it. This class, our Boots to Business class, nothing. We don't charge anything for them. And that means it's, you know, we're looking for people to volunteer their time to teach this class. We're not making money. You know, it's kind of hard to pay for people to do this for us. So Tom and Brian, we got hooked up with them 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, I guess 3. These pandemic years are floating together here, Brian, you know. But yeah, 3 years ago, and they've been such a blessing to this program and to our clients, and you know everything they do for us with this class, and then their own 2-hour seminar that we have them come in for. We It's free, and we only get to do that because they volunteer their time, and that's because they love our mission that we do and helping out veterans. So, Brian, thank you as always, and why don't you go ahead and take it away?
All right. Well, thank you so much. My pleasure to be here. Hey, everybody. And as I'm sure you can already tell, Troy and Don do an amazing job with this VBOC program. All the other teachers do exceptionally well. And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who's in this class because you're veterans. And a big, huge thank you for all that you've done for our country, for preserving our freedom, the freedom for me, my family, and others. You guys are heroes, and that's one of the reasons our company is very excited about doing these seminars every month, because if we can give back a little bit in terms of what you've given to us, then that makes us feel really happy. This is called the one-page marketing plan. And let me just say from the very beginning that this is meant to be an interactive session. I know it's difficult when we're on a Zoom call. It's not the same as not being in person, but I'm really going to try to make this as interactive as possible, but I need your help with that. So what I want to avoid is just giving you a lecture, because I'm guessing that you're not interested in just a lecture or theories about marketing. So let's try our very best to participate together. I want you to ask questions. And here's the key, the chat box. Let's really use that as a tool during this session. So if you don't have that pulled up, pull it up. It should be over to the side of your screen. And I want us to really use this for giving feedback and for giving questions. That's the only way that I really know if I'm connecting with you. So let's warm up. Let's give it a shot real quick. And I want you to go to your chat window and I want you to answer 2 questions for me. Okay, the first one is, what city are you in? And the second question is, what business are you starting? So let me know what city you're in, what business you're starting. Believe it or not, just having that information is really helpful. And even as we go through this, some of the illustrations can be tailored according to the industries that are represented in our session. So I just love to know who's out there. So they're kind of flowing in right now. Thank you, guys. And I might not be able to read all of them, but here's a few as they pop up on my screen. From Chester, we've got that's cool, a spiritual resort. I'm interested to hear more about that. In Hampton, non-alcoholic wine. Very neat. Atlanta, down in hot Atlanta, welcome. Realtor. Norfolk, Virginia, distillery. Chicago, not sure yet. Hey, that's okay. That's what this is for. Chesapeake, information technology. Hey, we've got some experience working within that field. We've got somebody from Maryland, e-commerce, women's clothing boutique. This is so cool. Colorado Springs, travel agency. Nice. I was just out close to Colorado Springs a couple months ago. Financial planning in Virginia Beach, Richmond, Virginia, barbecue restaurant, Virginia Beach, wax bar, Lynchburg, Virginia, another Virginia Beach business tax firm. Oh man, this is incredible stuff. Okay, so we've got some high-level entrepreneurs here, and I'm excited to hear what you're doing. And I really do hope that this is going to be helpful to you. I believe it will, because we've seen this over the past 3 years, the impact that people have told us with the information. Sometimes just crystallizing what you need to do with your marketing is 95% of the battle. So let me just quickly introduce myself and answer those 2 questions. I am in Williamsburg, Virginia right now. This is where I live and where our business is situated. And my business is called Genie Jar Digital. And I have a partner with me. His name is Tom Powell. Of course, he's not here with me today. But basically, we help small business owners with their marketing, no matter what they might need, whether it be traditional marketing all the way to digital marketing. We help them with those full services. So just something to keep in mind as we start this thing off. Again, I want you to walk away from this session with really practical tools, not just ivory tower theories. And keep in mind, and this is a real strong principle as we get started, just because you have a great product or just because you have fantastic customer service doesn't mean that your business will be successful. I mean, in an ideal world, it would be, but let's face it, you can have all those wonderful things happening, the best products, the best service, but if no one hears about your company, then it's all going to be a waste, and you're going to have to shut down pretty soon, because people have got to come through the front door, whether that's brick and mortar front door or whether it's online. People have got to know about you. So you need traffic to your message. You need eyeballs on your offer. Think about it this way. If you were to build a 5-star hotel, but you put it in the desert, would that do you any good? I mean, you might have the greatest facilities, amenities, and staff known to the earth. But if there are no roads leading to that hotel in the desert, then it's done. It's going to be over. So marketing is, in essence, building roads to your offer, building roads so people can hear about your message and determine if you're going to be the best fit for solving their problems. Just about a month ago, right before Christmas, my family, we traveled to New York. And one of the things we did while we were in New York, my kids now who are teens and into their 20s, They wanted to visit all the New York City pizza places, at least the ones that had high reviews. And I don't know if you've heard about this app that you can download for your phone, but it's called One Bite. And there's this guy, and he reviews all the New York City pizzerias and other places as well, and he ranks them. So my kids saw the top 3 rankings in New York for pizza, and that's where we went, those 3 places. And without a doubt, every time we would go to one of these pizza shops, there would be a line out the door. And sometimes there would be a wait of 45 minutes or more just to get inside the door on a regular day in New York to eat pizza. Now remember, there are seemingly thousands of pizza places in New York. What made these pizza places have such a waiting line? And it comes down to marketing. Because this guy who is relatively famous, who does these reviews, because he gave them high rankings, it spread. It was a viral deal. And now people all over want to visit the highest ranking restaurants to taste their incredible pizza. And they would have on the sidewalk outside their front door talking about the app and the ranking that they had. And I was just amazed. It would be a regular city block, but a line coming out the restaurant doors. Again, it shows you really the power of marketing. When people hear about you, that changes the game. Everybody can make pizza, but not everybody knows where the great pizza is. When they find that out, watch out. It's an amazing thing to your bottom line. So marketing always begins with the end in mind. And I promised I wouldn't lecture, so I just had to give that quick introduction. And what I want to do first is give you a bird's eye view of what we call the funnel of marketing. You can call this your pipeline, if you will. And we are of the persuasion that every successful marketing campaign, no matter what your industry, no matter what your business, needs some type of marketing funnel. Now, the key point to remember about a marketing funnel is this. All of your marketing efforts need to work together. In other words, they need to connect like a chain link fence. You can't just have them separate and scattered. But great successful marketing where you get your bang for your buck always has pieces that connect together and lead someone from step A all the way to step Z. Now, hopefully you have your handout as well, and it says the one-page marketing plan on it, and it shows this detail, this image. And let me just show you the questions here. Again, I'm not going to spend much time on this. This is more like marketing 301 or 401. But I wanted you to get the bird's eye view, and then if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer. But what we're really going to focus on today after we get through this is working you through custom details for your business. So hopefully you have some paper and pen for that as well. So here's the first thing on a great marketing funnel, something we call the perfect avatar. That's just another name for your target market. And if you look down on your piece of paper, here's the question, the fill in the blank that you can put in. Basically, your perfect avatar means who is your most typical customer? You've got to start there. Who is your most typical customer? If you don't know who you're trying to reach, and if you don't know what message they need to hear, then you're sunk in your marketing before you even start. The second part of the funnel is what we call the $1 million message. And by the way, thanks to Aaron Fletcher, who designed this funnel, the Fletcher method is incredible. We've adjusted some of it, but I want to give credit where credit's due. $1 million message is number 2. In other words, that's when you ask, what will grab the attention of my target market, of my perfect avatar? What kind of words do I need to say to them that will make them stop in their tracks, turn around and say, how did you know I needed that? Great messaging is such a key to great marketing. So you got to know your target market. You got to know the message that will resonate with them. That means you've got to avoid a bunch of cliches. What we see all the time, great businesses, but their marketing is full of cliches, and it basically becomes white noise.